Are we good to go now, Joe?
Okay, we are live.
We're live? Okay. Good morning, everyone. We'll open the December 6th meeting of San Diego LAFCO officially. With that, I've asked, roll call, please, Tammy.
Commissioner Desmond?
Here.
Desmond?
Here.
Kate?
Here.
Commissioner Salas? Here. Commissioner McNamara?
Here.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Here.
Commissioner Willis? Is absent. Commissioner Vargas? Is absent. Commissioner Vanderlyn?
Present.
Commissioner Anderson? Is absent. Commissioner Von Wilbert? Is absent. Commissioner Becker?
Present.
Commissioner Drake? Here. Commissioner Nathan?
Present.
Thanks, Harry.
And Commissioner Drake will vote in place of Commissioner Willis, who is absent. There's a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Tammy. Good morning again, everyone. I don't know whether you know or not, but Harry was a long serving in the Navy. How many years were you in the Navy, Harry?
28.
28. So in light of Pearl Harbor Day, I've asked Harry to lead our pledge this morning.
Yes, may I suggest that we have a moment of silence for those who were lost on that day? Thank you. Now, please join me in the pledge. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
To the
United
United States of America
and to the
And the
republic,
republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
and with liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
for all. Okay, thank you, Harry. I think in some cases we've lost sight of what our liberty is all about and what our republic is compared to other countries. So hopefully we can move forward from this day, and certainly acknowledging the service of Harry and others who have served, especially those who have given up their lives for our safety and our liberty. Okay, with that, we'll go to agenda item number 3. Are there any requests to remove or rearrange any items on the agenda this morning?
Thank you, Chair Vanderlyn. Keith Simons, your Executive Officer for the Video and Audio Record. And we see Commissioner Willis has entered the room as we speak. No changes to the agenda. What staff produced in our notice at the end of last week, or excuse me, at the start of this last week, has held, and that means the commission will go forward with one notice public hearing today involving a proposed change of organization up in the Fallbrook area, and then that will give way probably to our headliner, also in the Fallbrook region, a municipal service review in draft form that Priscilla Allen will report on. So no changes to the agenda. Before I hand it over to you, Chair Vanderlyn, see if commissioners have any disclosures that they need to make with respect to substantive ex parte communications. I also want to right now hand it over to Commission Counsel Holly Watley to report out on our last meeting. So Holly, are you there?
I am, and I just wanted to report out, commissioners will recall, but the public may not have been aware. Well, the public was aware. We went into closed session for a personnel review and to give direction to salary negotiators regarding the executive officer. We experienced, and we had intended, and the meeting indicated we were going to come out of closed session and consider the amendment to the executive officer's contract. We had a technical glitch and could not get back into a public session via Zoom, so I could not report out. But I also wanted the public to know that the meeting was adjourned at that point. We could not come back into open session. So I'm reporting out that there was no reportable action taken in closed session, and the proposed amendment to the executive officer's contract it has returned to be handled in public at this meeting later in the agenda.
Thank you, Holly. So Chair Vanderlyn, in absence of any commissioners having disclosures to make, we are good to go.
Okay, thank you, Keen. Thank you, Holly. Okay, item number 4, public comments and related requests. Are there any? Do we have any public at all today?
No pre-registered speakers.
Okay. All right, so hearing or seeing none, go to item number 5. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
I apologize. This is Keen. Let me just check if there's anyone in the room who has a public comment. Okay, seeing none, apologize, Chair. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, number 5, consent items. They're all listed there. Are there any that we need to consider moving, or should we deal with all of them that are listed? That would be A through G.
This is Joan, and I will move to approve the consent items A through G.
Okay. Is there a second for that?
Alice, yes. Here.
Okay. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
Chair, this is Erica. I got a public comment for item 5F.
5 what?
5F.
Okay. All right, well, let's take that now then.
Okay. It is from Bob Rawl, and his comments are, he's commenting on today's agenda item 5F regarding the Mar Vista Island Reorganization Project and the proposed annexation into the city of Vista. The current status presented is the submitted proposal application is an incomplete and pending receipt of additional documentation from the from the applicant to complete staff's analysis. From my experience in addressing this matter, it is important to give consideration to additional documentation from other than the applicant, and I'm requesting the opportunity to do so. If there are questions regarding the concerns I presented to be into the record at the prior meeting, I will likely be able to provide that information today by email. And he says that he'll be attending the meeting by calling in, but I'm not sure if he's on the line right now.
Okay.
Can we check, see if he's online?
While she's doing that, Ken, do you have any comments on that?
I do not, other than thanking Mr. Rawl for his comment.
I don't believe he's on there.
Okay. Commissioner,
And
sorry, Holly, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just for the record, then there's also no one to give public comment on the consent items actually in the meeting room, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's just the sole comment we have on the consent items.
Okay, so how should we handle that, Holly? Do we need to pull it or we go ahead with it?
No, I mean, there's no need to pull it. It was just a comment on it, and I think you can still approve the full package of consent items.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes,
Okay.
Erica, what item on item F was that, Mar Vista?
It was the proposal 5F. And I think his hand is raised in the attendees list, but I can't undo it.
He has to unmute himself. He has to unmute himself. I'm giving him permission to speak, but he's not unmuting himself.
There we go.
Bob Roll here. I'm sorry, I'm technologically impaired here, but I am listening.
Which
Did you have
item,
any?
which item on 5F were we referring to?
5F would be the Mar Vista Island reorganization.
Mhm.
I'm rolling a document right now. I believe it was 5G in one of the meetings and 5F in another.
Well, it can't be 5F.
Last week, or a month ago, last meeting, I commented on item 5G, and that's referenced here in the notes. But I believe it shows as
It's 5F, it's the pending proposals, like the
right. It
attachment.
shows. I commented on 5G last month, but the page I'm looking at now refers to 5F. But in any event, the file number is R0 or RO21-04.
Hell.
Well, it's in this table. It's item 13. This is a 282-page document. I'm not quite sure whether I'm on the correct page here.
Mr. Rawl, this is Executive Officer Ken Simon. So the commission.
13. It's item number 13 on 5F.
Well, thank you.
So Mr. Rawl, the commission's received your email comment with respect to the Mar Vista proposed reorganization, an item that is not on today's agenda, but we other than to note that it is on file in pending administrative review. Did you have an additional comment that you'd like to make to the commission?
No additional comment, but before a decision is made, I would like to know if the county has provided adequate environmental documents. I understand your decision is based on the presumption that adequate documentation is provided, but they have not adequately documented this issue, which is why I asked for the opportunity to present
Mr.
additional information.
Chair, if it's okay, why don't we have staff contact you offline and we can discuss. I believe the city of Vista has determined that the action is exempt from CEQA, meaning it's a project, but it qualifies for an expedited review process. That said, we'd be happy to meet offline and go over that with you.
Okay, I would disagree on that being in compliance with CEQA, but that sounds like that would be most efficient to handle this offline. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. So, Mr. Vanderlyn, we have a motion by Commissioner McKenzie, a second by Commissioner Salas to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Okay, and Holly, you're saying we should just go ahead as is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, because this 5F is just an informational item about what proposals are pending and the status of things.
Okay, great. Any further discussion then? Hearing or seeing none, roll call vote, please, Tammy.
Commissioner Desmond,
Aye.
Commissioner Case,
Yes.
Commissioner Salas. Yes. Commissioner McIntyre,
Aye.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Willis,
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderlyn.
Yes,
That's 7 in favor, 1 absent, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
okay. Thank you, Tammy. Okay, we have a public hearing item on number 6, so we'll open the public hearing. Keen, do you have a staff report on this?
I do, and I'll in fact provided. So item 6A commission is a proposed change of organization identified as Winter Haven Road. a relatively straightforward proposal at that, but it does necessitate some formality through this notice hearing because a proposed change to the Fallbrook Public Utility District sphere of influence is in play. That said, it's also somewhat of a twofer in that we have two separate co-applicants, who, as I understand, have never met each other, but through the matchmaking skills of the Fallbrook Public Utility District have come to us under this one proposed action to seek the expansion of the Fallbrook Public Utility District's authorized wastewater service area. And again, because this is a remnant of the dissolution of the Fallbrook Sanitary District back in 1994, this commission actively regulates the wastewater service area of the Fallbrook Public Utility District. So the request itself is to expand this service area by 1.5 acres, and that would include 2 non-contiguous parcels that are within line of sight of each other on Winter Haven Road or off of Winter Haven Road. So in looking at the map, commission and public, the property to the north of Winter Haven, identified as with the APN ending in 09, this landowner has joined the proposal because they would like to establish wastewater service so they can put to bed, if you will, an aging septic system that requires ongoing maintenance and probably at this point needs to be replaced. And in doing so, this would then continue to provide service for an existing house. Again, that's for the property ending with the APN of 09. To the south on Winter Haven Road, with the APN ending in 027, this applicant has joined the proceedings because they would like to go forward and build a single family residence. And in doing so, meet the requirements of the county, given the public sewer main is within 300 feet. So you have 2 separate but nevertheless common applications. With respect to your analysis, all checks out at the staff level in terms of statute and local policies. We are recommending that you go forward today with an approval as submitted with changes on our end. And also, because of the action here, we do need a conforming change to the secondary sphere of influence for Fallbrook Public Utility District as well. Last but not least, we're also, as part of our resolution of approval, recommending that you find our 2 actions here today, the sphere action and the actual change of organization, exempt from CEQA. So this is a notice hearing. I don't believe we have the applicants in attendance today, but nevertheless, Chair, should the commission see fit, our recommended motion would be approval of alternative 1. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any public comments on this item? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, commission. What is your,
I have a question for clarification.
okay, Joe, please go ahead.
Looking at this, they might want to put the map back up because there looks like there's a panhandle lot between the 2. Is that lot then not in the Fallbrook Public Utilities District, and it's an island unto itself, but it is in the wastewater service area? That little
No.
panhandle between the 2 that's polka dotted?
Yeah, so no, Commissioner, that parcel area that you're referencing is both within Fallbrook Public Utility District and already within the wastewater service area.
Okay, so then it should be yellow.
I believe it is it's just a function of the overlaying of the map.
All right, okay.
Any more questions?
I'll move approval of item 6A.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please, Tammy.
Commissioner Desmond,
Aye.
Commissioner Pate,
Yes.
Commissioner Salad. Yes. Commissioner McNamara,
Aye.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Aye.
Commissioner Willis,
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderland,
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 absent. The motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, now to our highlighted agenda item for day under business calendar, item 7A. Draft municipal service review for Fallbrook region. Keen?
Yes, so thank you, Chair Vanderland. I'll go ahead and just open up this item and offer up a few introductory comments before handing over the main presentation to Priscilla Allen. What I thought I would do for the commission and public's benefit is maybe offer up a few goals that we had in mind for today at the staff level. And I'll start off by noting that this is really, after about a year's worth of start and stop operations, this is the culmination of a lot of work. And ultimately, this is the day that we have at staff to clearly communicate what we believe to be the key service issues and the governance and funding items that go with it within the Fallbrook region as part of this required check-in that we do every 5 years under state law. And certainly the idea here is that we put ourselves in a position to make use of the service review once it's complete to inform other actions and responsibilities, like commission using the service review to inform future jurisdictional changes and sphere actions that may occur within the Fallbrook region over the next 5-year window. Now, sometimes that comment can be somewhat academic, but we know in this particular case and in this particular region, there are some pending jurisdictional changes that are going to directly tie into this service review. We have 3 proposals already on file, 2 of which have certainly been the topic of quite a bit of discussion involving Fallbrook Public Utility District and Rainbow Municipal Water District's desire to leave the water authority and join East. But that's not the only proposal on file with LAFCO that will tie into this report. We have a separate request from Fallbrook Public Utility District to activate certain latent powers, one of them being park and recreation. So we know that this item is going to be used, it's going to be used sooner than later going forward. That said, that leads me to the second goal here, which is for the affected agencies and anyone from the public to go on record and explain or provide information to LAFCO as to what they see as being key community interests when it comes to supporting growth and development in the region going forward, before the commission makes any final decision. And then last but not least, looking at the physical and virtual dais, this is the opportunity for the commission to tell staff whether we're hitting the mark or if we need some course correction as we start to pivot towards preparing the final report. A final report that may come to you as early as February, may take a little longer, but nevertheless, today is that opportunity for the commission to weigh in and see if we are again on a course that is agreeable. So I'm going to ask Priscilla to walk through this draft report to highlight the key items, conclusions, and recommendations that we have generated to date. And then, while it's not a public hearing, Chair, I know we have members of the affected agencies, those being North County Fire, Fallbrook Public Utility District, as well as Rainbow Municipal Water District, all either physically with us today or virtually with us who'd like to make some comments. Then we, again, would like to hear from the commission as to your collective take. So with that, I will turn over the presentation to Priscilla.
So for the record, my name is Priscilla Allen, analyst at LAFCO. As you mentioned, thank you, Vista. Okay. As mentioned before the commission, for discussion feedback today is our draft report on the Fallbrook region. The scheduled municipal service review has been prepared in-house and focuses on the principal local governmental agencies within the region and under LAFCO oversight, and namely the Fallbrook Public Utility District, Rainbow Municipal Water District, and North County Fire Protection District. These three agencies collectively provide the region with water, wastewater, recycled water, and fire protection services. There's also a fourth local agency, CSA 81, Parks and Recreation, that is subject to this MSR, but due to time issues, will be added to the document going forward. So the draft report follows our most recent MSRs and anchored by detailed profiles of the affected agencies. And they're structured to tell their story as relative to their community needs as the commission sees fit and under statute. The report evaluates the local government services that they provide and marked by independently assessing their demographics, their demand to service capacity relationships, and their financial standing. We draw on their agency profiles in preparing the written determinations on all factors required by the commission. It's our statute, with some taking form in actionable recommendations. Before summarizing the report, I would like to begin with a couple of key premises. So number one, the data points within the report are specific to a 5-year window, beginning in fiscal year 2016 and ending in fiscal year 2020. With limited exceptions, we do focus on averages generated during the report window, and this is to help control against one-year outliers. And then third, the report's horizon is 5 years out, and this means, among other things, that all jurisdictional changes, as he mentioned, that come forward within the next 60 months within the region are going to be measured in large part up against the analysis within this MSR. And so I'm going to ask you to put our PowerPoint up on the screen. So the first slide has some baseline information on each of the local agencies relative to their formation date, resident population, and service functions. So each is very distinct. North County Fire Protection District providing 5 active service functions, Fallbrook providing 3, and Rainbow providing 2. Each being formed, so Fallbrook formed in June 1922, Rainbow in January 1954, and North County FPD in January of 1987. You're going to pull up a Google Earth, and we'll go over just briefly showing you the jurisdictional boundaries here. So just as he pulls that up, each is distinct in size. Fallbrook Public Utility District is the smallest in size, spanning 44 square miles. And this is relative in size to the city of Oceanside. Their sphere is coterminous with their jurisdictional boundary. And Rainbow Municipal Water District comes in second. They span 80 square miles and is double the size of the city of Oceanside. Their sphere includes 987 jurisdictional acres and eastern perimeter. And then lastly, North County Fire Protection District is the largest of the 3 agencies, 92 square miles, double the size of the city of Oceanside as well. Their sphere is 27% larger than their jurisdictional boundary, and then they extend into Walla and then Riverside County. So now I'll go into summarizing the report with the invitation to go into further detail at the end of my presentation. I'm going to jump into recommendations. With respect to the conclusions, they total 9 and summarizing up on the screen. So number 1, this is an introductory municipal service review, serves as a full introduction where the affected agencies and their constituents are learning more about a relatively unfamiliar process, a planning process. And then similarly, the commission is being introduced to the affected agencies and their service functions at a depth that has the Fallbrook region has experienced slow and steady consolidation in local government and has been reduced from 8 to the current 4, Fallbrook, North County, Rainbow, Vista, and Green. And the Fallbrook region is relatively rural in character, and the region's success is largely attributed to avocados and agriculture, which has influenced the region. However, recent and significant declines in avocado production, highlighted by the loss of nearly 1/5 acres during the report period, suggest that the cost of growing avocados in the once avocado capital of the world is becoming unsustainable and may lead to some policy implications. Now, irrespective of the influence that avocados and agriculture has had on the region, it's reasonable to assume that there will be some level of growth, as growth is happening, and this also ties the demand for housing as well as the available land supply, given the decline in avocado acres. The demographics within the region show that they have a distinguishing gray, green, and blue collar demographic. They're measurably older with higher household incomes. However, a low percentage of college degree holders suggest a relatively high percentage of the region's workforce is collar professional. Now, looking into the agencies, they have established adequate and excess municipal capacities with no substantive identified. There is stress testing underway, though, for each of the agencies as they have experienced severe and financial stresses during the report period. All 3 agencies remain solvent based on overall net positions. However, recent negative trends are noteworthy and merit additional commission attention going forward. Now, there is an unknown case of incorporation for Fallbrook region with past and recurring interests, and it's reasonable to assume formal efforts will now, given its size and local resources. But for now, many locals have 3 separate reorganization proposals top of mind, 2 involving the separate request by Fallbrook and Rainbow to change wholesale providers, and then the third being Fallbrook Public Utility District's request to activate its park and recreation, roads, and street lighting functions. So these were the key takeaways and some tie into our recommendations. There are 14 recommendations, most being straightforward, and a few others being a little more nuanced. So I'll highlight 6, and those will be up on the screen. Number 1 and number 2 within the report, the loss of avocados may have some policy implications for LAFCO. And if the commission thinks fit, it is part of our 2-year planning grant of the state, which independently assesses agriculture trends in San Diego County, and perhaps this would be a good case study. Number 7, we're recommending that LAFCO should revisit the protection and emergency medical services provided by North County Fire Protection during our scheduled countywide fire service study, as we see fit in terms of further safety fire service. Number 9, it's fair to say that there will be opportunities in the region for consolidation given overlapping services and adjacent boundaries. However, we don't see that being an issue worth exploring at the moment, but perhaps in the future. Number 11, similar to what the commission has said within the Ramona MSR, LAFCO should prepare an agnostic white report on incorporation opportunities for Fallbrook so everyone understands the current prospects relative to current statutory thresholds. Number 13, everything to date suggests no severe changes are needed with respect to Fallbrook and Rainbow, although this remains a working conclusion. And number 14, there appears to be merit in suggesting that perhaps expanding North County Fire Protection District's sphere to capture some of its regular service calls in Riverside County may make sense. Now, before I end my presentation, I want to note that staff has worked closely with community stakeholders in developing the draft report with a good amount of discussion with staff from each agency. I've also provided high-level presentations to the Rainbow Community Planning Group as well as the Fallbrook Community Planning Group, and have advised them as well to generate some public input. I know, as Keen mentioned, there are some representatives from each of the agencies here with us today. But for now, I'm going to turn it back to Keen and council. Thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla, and Commission. I just want to once again thank Priscilla for taking on this project. Like a few that have recently come to you, we had a couple of changes in staff in the course of getting the service reviews, this being one of them. And Priscilla has done an outstanding job of taking this on and getting it to you today. I'm going to hand this over to our Commission counsel just for a couple of comments, and then the Chair, I think, will be ready.
Thank you, Keen. I just wanted to comment at the outset that because this MSR is going to be used and relied upon by, in some upcoming proposals that Keen indicated, that commissioners should be cautious about discussing any of the merits of those proposals, because that discussion will follow when those proposals come to the commission for decision at that time. So if at any point I think we're straying too far, or I hear a commissioner straying too far into the weeds on the merits, I may step in. So I'm going to, give you advance notice and apologize in advance if I interrupt you. But I'll step in if I think that's happening, but otherwise proceed.
Thank you, Polly. So Commissioner Vanderlyn, I do know we have some representatives from North County Fire here. I'll check right now with Commission Clerk Tammy Luckett to see who we may have on the phone as well.
Okay, thank you. Any initial comments from the commissioners? No? Okay, Tammy, we'll go to you. We have North County first, you said?
Chair, we have, is Paula DeSouza, she's a representative for Fallbrook.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand that.
Paula DeSouza, she's a representative from Fallbrook. Is she on the line? Or Jack Beebe?
Okay.
I have Fire Chief Keith McReynolds in the audience. Wish to speak.
So, Chair, if we could hear from Chief McReynolds first, and perhaps if Paula or Jack want to get in the queue, that would be great.
Okay. All right, Chief McReynolds. You're up.
Great. Morning. Good morning, Commission. On behalf of the Board of Directors and the men and women of the North County Fire Protection District, thank you. LAFCO staff and facility team for your work. There was quite a bit of work that went into this for the last several months. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Keith McReynolds. I'm the Fire Chief CEO of the North County Fire Protection District. As indicated throughout our MSR, the state of our fire district is strong. The very foundation of our organization are our core values of duty, respect, and integrity. We are redefining the meaning of those words through organizational transparency, collaboration, and development. Our agency employs some of the most dedicated, hardworking fire service professionals I have ever known. Our leadership team is focused on moving our organization to the future. Just the last 5 months, we have launched an unprecedented effort to strengthen our organization on multiple fronts. We've hired a firm to develop a 3 to 5 year strategic plan, a 20-year master plan, and to cover component. We have multiple facility projects underway, including maintenance and construction. We have navigated the election redistricting process using census data, leveraged assets to increase our reserves, reimagined our fire prevention bureau into a community risk reduction division, launched a community outreach task force, strengthened our relationship with our community partners such as the Fallbrook Health District, collaboration on emergency care and various medical services. As it pertains to the agency financial analysis, so I'd like to make. We appreciate the diligent work LAFCO staff has done using the audited financial statements and the information provided CalPERS to analyze 5-year period 26. Fiscal year 20 was an unusual year for our district, the timing at the issuance of general subsequent payments. As noted in the MSR, we had an increase in liability of about 35.5 million. We've increased it on buildings in primarily on proceeds for CalPERS and UAL. However, get down to the UAL debt is not reflected in the district's financial statement until 20. A preliminary analysis has shown a decrease. Like the pay down of the CalPERS. Also, liability section of the all ratios are trending downward. However, current ratio increased fiscal year 20 from fiscal year 20. 0.4 to 1. Days cash increased 21 from 60.4 to 173.7. Fiscal year 21, our debt ratio also 58%. Total margin went from 98.7 all the way to the highest. Last operating margin 8%, 8.4, also the highest. We are an organization trending financially right direction. With continued vigilance, thoughtful oversight, financially stable.
Okay, Tammy, who do we have next? Oh, I'm sorry. Any questions for Chief McReynolds?
Yes, Chair Vanderlyn. I have a question more of the whole commission. Was his presentation easily heard and understood in its entirety, or is it just my communications here? Because I had a very difficult time hearing him, and there were a number of sections where he totally cut out. So I would like to ask him to give staff his written comments and have those emailed out to the commission, because I missed a good portion of his comments. But I don't know whether it's my system or whether it's the webinar system. So I'm kind of asking the commissioners that are on the Zoom if they were, able to hear clearly all of his presentation.
Joe, I know I wasn't, so I think it's a great idea to have his written transcript provided for us.
Well, I'm having a real hard time understanding Priscilla, partially because she has the mask on, but that's why I'm asking, is everybody else having difficulties in hearing? Because staff needs to know so they can make, the adjustments. And I notice there's no chat on this new, I can't find chat so that I could send something to do. I think, if everybody else is having an issue, then staff needs to know so they can correct it.
Well, you're not the only one, Joe. I had the same problem. It was very garbled. And I really didn't understand most of his remarks.
And this isn't fair to any of the applicants. If we can't understand what's being presented by staff and what's being presented by the public.
So this is Executive Officer Keith Simon. So Commissioner McKenzie, thank you for your comment. We do have San Diego Airport operations fully engaged somewhat in the background. So that may be a function of it, but we will do our best going forward to speak as direct as possible I'm sure Chief McReynolds will be nice enough to give us a copy of his notes in going forward. So with that clarity noted, Chair Vanderlyn, if you're comfortable, why don't we go forward with the next? Oh, before I forget, we have one more question from the room, Commissioner Drake.
Maybe I do have a question for the chief. Can you hear me? Yeah. Chief, you have an 8-lane gorilla runs right through your neighborhood. That is the I-15 corridor. And in contrast to Rainbow and Fallbrook, fraction of the resource requires activity on I-15.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, we have stations that are located along the 15 corridor. The North County Fire Protection District serves the section between Temecula and the Lilac Bridge. Our station 4, our Paulo Mesa station, located in section Highway 35, Paulo Mesa Drive, they serve the southern part. A lot of that new development is now going in on the 15 corridor. We now have a fully staffed engine company up in the Rainbow area, which is also covered by the North County Fire Protection District. They serve the northern section of the 15 corridor up to the Temecula border.
That's appreciated. Can you describe maybe what fraction of your resources are required to do all of that? In other words, I'm looking at the MSR for Greenville and Fallbrook in your district. I-15 tends to dominate. It's not about report at the moment. Maybe we need to think about having a limit.
Yeah, we have 5 fire stations. North County Fire Protection District, our headquarters station is downtown Fallbrook. Station 2 is toward the center of the district, and Station 5 is down in the Montville area. We also enjoy a multi-auto aid agreement with Deer Springs, Cal Fire, Paula, Vista, and Pendleton, all of our neighboring agencies, and can even request resources to assist us from Riverside County if needed. But that 15 corridor, for the most part, is covered by our Station 4, our Station 3. They're each staffed with a 3-person ALS assessment engine. Station 4 also has an ALS ambulance staffed with a paramedic and an EMT. And then those stations are backstopped by our other 3 stations and our partners that we work with.
I appreciate the insight, but I'm not sure what's going to happen. We need to somehow bring the cost revenue line.
Okay, thank you.
Very familiar with the UAL issue. How would you like to see it bring? Is there any way? I was actually pleased with the reference that was made. Although the report really studied fiscal year 16, 20, to be fair, unfortunately, on what really needed in the report as far as receiving from. However, there was some language to recall in reference that it was something that we did and that was a great direction. Each year, MSRs will probably be able to capture the full value. I'm there, and I have additional data, financial data, in the right direction.
Keen, just so you know that, I don't know about the others, but I couldn't really understand anything that was being said.
Yeah. Commissioner,
We're doing our best here.
well, I think, Keen, this Commissioner Desmond, we need everybody to speak into the microphone. I mean, Mr. Willis, we couldn't understand as he was talking to the fire chief. The previous gentleman who asked a question, we couldn't understand. You got to talk right, like within an inch of the microphone. The same with the fire chief. It's discerning for us here online. that we're getting every other word. So we hear you when you talk, Keen, right into the microphone, but when others, I know it's not always easy, but we ain't getting it at this end.
Thanks, Jim.
Right.
Joe had a comment.
Yeah.
Joe, your hand is up.
Oh, my hand's still up? Okay. I have a question of the fire chief, not that I'm gonna be able to hear him. But one of the recommendations was to consolidate his 2 existing taxing authority zones. And I'll ask Holly, my question is, how feasible is that in the future, to be able to do that in the future? Because I know there's some issues depending upon the various taxing zones that can't be combined. Is this something that's all I want to know, is this doable, yes, or is it doable, no?
We would
Is
have
that
to,
a question I can ask, or is that a question he can answer?
I mean, you can ask that question. In terms of the legal feasibility, that's something that would require a much more detailed deep dive on the legal end of things. So I'd be surprised if anybody could answer or opine on the legality of that today.
Okay, now I won't ask it.
There's also one more hand up. I'm sorry, Chief, did you have a comment?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner Vanderlyn, yes. I just wanted to comment that I have reached out to Supervisor Desmond's office, and I spoke to Darren, Chief of Staff there, and we're going to be working together to explore what that could look like, consolidating those 2 tax districts. And so that is something that we're going to start working on right away.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. That was much better speaking into the microphone there. There's a comment. I can't put the name with the face, but there's one more hand up out there. Whose is it?
It's Paula D'Souza, I believe. I'm not sure if you're ready for me.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, this is Paula D'Souza. I'm with Best and Krieger on behalf of the Fallbrook Public Utility District. Jack Beebe, the general manager, was unable to attend today, but he asked that I thank LAFCO staff very much for their hard work on preparing the draft municipal service review, in particular Priscilla Allen for all her hard work on this, and that we received a copy of the draft report last week. We will be providing some technical comments to LAFCO staff for its consideration before this comes back to the commission for its review and acceptance at a future meeting. I do really want to highlight that we appreciate the fact that the municipal service review really does highlight the fact that there is a change going on in Fallbrook Public Utility District with regard to the change in the agriculture, the reduction of agriculture uses in the district with the loss of avocado groves, whatnot, due in large part to high water prices. And we do want to emphasize that the municipal service review does mention that there might be a shift more towards residential, but that might be a little difficult depending on how the vehicle miles traveled policy that the county of San Diego is going to be looking at and looking towards finalizing, how that'll impact the North County region and Fallbrook Public Utility District in general. So I just wanted to leave you with that, to thank the commission for its time and to really thank LAFCO staff for doing a nice job on this report as it relates to Fallbrook Public Utility District.
Okay, thank you, Paula. Are there any questions for Paula? If not, Jim, I see your hand is up.
Well, if I could just comment on the MSR itself, or do we have more speakers? I was going to wait until the speakers were done to give a general comment.
Okay, Tammy, do we have any more speakers?
Tom Kennedy.
Tom, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you well. Step right
All
up.
right. Thank you for your time this morning. And I wanted to also thank staff for all their work they've done on the MSR. It was a long time coming, and they did a really nice job on it. And I think it, as Paula was just saying, it did capture the fact that our region is having challenges with our agricultural users and the cost of water at Rainbow. Our imported water costs between 60 and 70% of our overall costs. And when you have a loss of sales and increasing water prices, the effect is a challenge for the whole area. And so that's main reason why there are other applications are going to come before the commission sometime next year. And because the region depends on imported water, but the cost of water is making it infeasible. And like Paula said on the comment about the potential transition of groves to housing, avocado primarily grows on steep slopes in our area, and the zoning, the current zoning is in some cases 1 lot per 10 acres. So while there may be a few houses coming in from it, it definitely won't have any large scale development unless there's some changes in the general plan and the VMT issue. But mainly our comments, we'll have some minor technical comments along the lines of Chief McReynolds' comments, what I could make of them related to how the finances are presented in the report. But we're appreciative of staff's work on this and look forward to its eventual consideration and approval by the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Jim?
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. And what I do want to say is, this, as far as, I want to thank all the speakers and all the effort and work that went into this review. I know it's timely and needed to be done. Particularly on the financials, this is a 5-year window, and it's been kind of the most tumultuous times with the COVID and with the agriculture changing and with water issues and things like that. But it's a snapshot in time that we have to look at and consider. I have a question, I think, more for Keen. The fact that, we've got these recommendations, 14 recommendations in front of us for the 3 different utility districts and the fire district. Is there anything here, that's sort of the red flag that something absolutely has to be done immediately? Is there anything here that would trigger, LAFCO, instead of just making recommendations, anything that we'd have to specifically say at this point in time? Or is the stress at a low enough level that it's kind of a wait and see and keep an eye on things? I'm trying to kind of gauge where the stress level is and if any immediate actions warranted at this time for any of these concerns.
Thank you, Commissioner Desmond. So it's the latter. Wait and see. There is no red flags that we are forwarding to the commission that would, in our opinion, necessitate action at our end.
All right. Well, I think it's a pretty comprehensive review, and everybody in government everywhere has got issues we all have to deal with. And I think if you need a motion to approve the municipal service review from item 7A, I'd be willing to make that motion. And maybe, maybe we have, Keen, we do these service reviews every how many years? Is it 4 or 5 years? 5? Maybe we take a look in 2 or 3 years, maybe not a full MSR, but, we look at these recommendations and see where things stand. It might warrant a interim look between now and the next 5 years to make sure things are trending in a positive direction.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Keen, when looking at the staff report, you're just looking for an acceptance here, an information item, is that correct?
Yeah, not even perhaps that formal. This is our check-in to see if there were any issues that the commission would like us to introduce as we pivot towards a final report. Commissioner Drake has given us some good ideas in terms of beefing up our analysis on fire protection specific to the Interstate 15 corridor. We also are going to, be open to comments offline. If a commissioner has a thought the moment the meeting ends that you think would merit our attention, by all means. So if I could, Chair, if I could just speak about next steps. So our plan is to issue a formal public review and comment period sometime this week that would run 45 days. And 45 days is just the number that by practice we have used. I certainly would suggest incorporating, at least right now, that 45-day review. We would anticipate bringing back a final report as early as your February meeting for action. Action in the sense that we would ask the commission to formally accept the document and then adopt a resolution that would make the prerequisite findings under NSR statute. That's the game plan going forward. I know Priscilla's already given some presentations to some of the community groups. If there are other suggestions about who we should reach out to, we're all ears for that. Again, we could do that offline. So this is, I think, a good check-in. In absence of any more direction, I think we've got our orders to proceed forward.
Okay, so no official action needs to be taken at this point. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, is everyone, any questions by commissioners or comments? I don't see any hands up on the screen. Okay, just as a comment from the public member who happens to live in this region, I came here in 1976, so it really was the avocado capital of the world then. There was still a sign, I think, on the entrance on Mission Road that says avocado capital of the world, but unfortunately for those of us who live here, that's changed quite a bit, and that's not going to come back soon. So I like the report. Very well done, Keen. You and Priscilla and your staff have done an excellent job. And I also wanted to comment on the summary. Whoever did that did a great job as well, taking that multi-page document and putting it into a more understandable form. So with that said, anything else on item 5A then? I'm sorry, 7A. No, it is 5A, excuse me.
No, 7A, you're correct.
7A.
You're good.
It is 7A, sorry, lost my numbering. Okay, so nothing else then on 7A? Okay, so the next item up, Holly, we don't need a closed session on 7B.
No, it's in open session.
Okay, all right. As Holly outlined for us in the beginning of the meeting, that we did review this in closed session at their last meeting, and we came out of there with some recommendations that we passed on to Holly with an issue to evaluate regarding compensation. So Holly, do you have anything further to report?
Yes, just as I set forth in the staff report, to the extent anybody had a question on whether a annual bonus is treated as pensionable compensation, and under SD Sarah, annual bonus is not. An ad hoc occasional annual bonus is not considered pensionable compensation, unlike base pay. So I know the commission or the executive officer compensation commission had discussed either a bump in base pay or a combination of a bump with a potential annual bonus. And so I think I'll turn it back to them to make any recommendations on that. I will add, I want to correct one typo that is in the proposed fourth amended agreement, where it has a year listed on the anniversary date of when this would be effective. And I had put September 11, 2020, but it actually should be September 11, 2021.
Okay. All right, committee members, Jim, Joe, do you have any comment? I see Jim's left the building. Joe, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Do you have any comments on item 7B?
No, I'll let you, discuss or propose what the recommendations of the committee were.
Okay. And Holly, you don't have any further comment then?
Not from the legal end of things, no.
Okay. All right, we did have that one question about the compensation issue, bonus versus salary. So that's been taken care of. So any questions on the actual proposal then? The commissioners?
Nope.
No, we're all good. Jim, any comments on 7B?
No.
I'm sorry, Jim, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm having trouble finding the recommendations in front of me here.
Yeah, so am I.
So I think it was, Holly, can you remind us what the recommendations were?
Well, from the Executive Officer Compensation Committee, there was a recommendation that was being considered but not finalized, was to increase base pay by 5%, which would be a $9,318 and change annual increase. And in addition to that, to provide a one-time bonus to be paid in one lump sum, as soon as practical after this approval. And I'm not sure exactly what that amount was, or whether it was a percentage or whether there was thought about making it, just a flat figure.
Joe, if I remember, I think it was a 5K bonus. Is that right?
That's what my notes show. It was a 5% raise and a $5,000 bonus.
So
Mine show that as well. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I'll make a motion then that we increase our executive director's pay to about the 5% increase and a one-time $5,000 bonus.
Second.
Okay. Any comments on that by the commission? Hearing or saying none, is there a second to the motion?
There isn't. I think we need a motion. I'll make a motion.
The motion was made by
I second.
Jim. So there's a second. Okay, so any questions on the motion then? I don't see any hands. Okay, roll call vote, please, Tammy.
Mr. Vanderlyn?
Aye.
Vanderlyn? Commissioner Vanderlyn? Commissioner Vanderlyn?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Aye.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Aye.
Commissioner McNamara?
Aye.
Commissioner Salad?
Yes.
Commissioner Kate?
Yes.
Commissioner Desmond?
Yes.
7 in favor, 1 absent, and 0 opposed. The motion passed.
Okay, thank you. All right, commissioner comments? Anything for the good of the order? No?
Chair Vander, your executive, I did have a couple of comments for you under the EO report.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I failed to acknowledge the help of Stephen Abbott, our relatively new consultant on our municipal service review work, including the one that you just heard today. And in keeping with the theme of staffing, a couple of important comments to note. So we were all, and we have all at staff been impressed with Carol Iro-Neiman, our graduate intern over the last few months. And while she's not here today because she's on a planned trip, she has been recently promoted to a full-time staff member as Analyst 1. So we're very happy to have Carol on board. And then separately, after 31 years of dutiful service to both the County of San Diego and San Diego LAFCO, our executive assistant, Ruth Arliano, has decided it's time to be a full-time grandmother, and she will be retiring at the end of this week, and staff has some festivities planned for Ruth this week, but I do want to just compliment Ruth on all her good work and really just a wonderful source of energy. When I showed up 4 years ago, it was clear from then as it is today. Ruth really is a bright spot in every morning, and we're going to miss her quite a bit. And then out of earned promotion status, as Ruth retires and goes on to the next chapter, Erica Blum, who is our administrative assistant, has earned the promotion to executive assistant. And that is happening as we speak. And Erica has done a great job as well. While it'll be difficult to replace Ruth, Erica will do an outstanding job, I'm sure. So just a couple of staffing changes to make note. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, sorry I passed over your report, Keen. Now, any commissioner announcement, requests for future items on the agenda?
I have a question. It sounded like we've got a new employee, a Carol. Is that correct?
Yes.
And she is an analyst?
Yes, analyst one. In fact, Carol was with us at the last few meetings online as a graduate intern, and about a month ago, she survived the hazing and is now a full-time analyst one.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on that? Keen, please pass on from the commission our thanks and gratitude to Ruth for her long service and hanging in there through thick and thin. If you wouldn't mind putting together a card for us, we won't be able to sign it, but if you could just say to us from the commission, however you want to word, that would be great. If there's anything else you think we could do for Ruth, please let us know.
Wednesday. I will send out a note. Yeah.
Well, there's Ruth. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, hello. Good morning, Commission. I would just like to say thank you for the opportunity. Thank you to Keen and LAFCO staff.
Okay, you're welcome.
Your
Thank
smiling
you.
face will be missed.
You will enjoy being a full-time grandparent. It's a great time. Okay. Any other comments then?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, Jim.
Also want to say thank you, Ruth, for all of your service and at the LAFCO. We appreciate it. Keen, did I hear that we are using Stephen Abbott as our as a consultant on the MSR? Is that right?
MSRs, yes. So, and he's actually in the room. Steve came aboard just about a month ago and is going to be helping us, as did Ed Sprague before him, as did John Traylor before Ed.
Hey, Steve.
I can see him in that crowded room. I think Steve's an excellent choice. I guess I wasn't aware he was on board, but if anybody knows the history up there in Fallbrook, especially with North County Fire, Steve does. So I'm glad to hear he's on board. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Steve. Welcome aboard. Okay. Anything else then? Is there a need? I'm sorry, Harry.
Yeah, I just before we close, I just wanted to comment on the quality of the sound. Although I can hear pretty clearly those of us who are not here are not there at the meeting, but from the members of the quality of the sound from the people who are there, I think is a real problem, and it's a hollow sound and the clarity. I would ask you to maybe take a look at that and see if it can't be improved.
Okay, thank you, Harry. Anything else then? Once again, no closed session. I'm sorry, Joe.
I'll echo exactly what Harry said, and then offline I'll ask how we listen to this online, because I want to see if the sound is as bad as what I'm hearing. So that complaint being said, question on our pending MSRs that have kind of been slid down the calendar. Is staff proposing to communicate with those agencies that are involved, Escondido, Vista, San Marcos? The North County looks like it's the next one up, that have sent in their information and give them an update that, it's coming forward. Their information hasn't been lost in the shuffle.
Thank you, Commissioner McKenzie. We are in active communication with all of the agencies. So your sentiment is in practice as we speak.
I'll ask you offline what you said.
I said they're in constant contact with the agencies. Is what he said. Okay. Anything else on today?
I have just one other comment regarding
Okay.
regarding LAFCO, is that we hired a headhunter to go out and do what we did when we found Keene, and we have 5 applicants that have been vetted, and then the executive committee will be looking at it, interviewing those, and then propose their 2 proposals for the entire board to interview in January. And we have made the decision after comments from the headhunters, and basically all of them that our present executive director was in communications with, is we have always been a volunteer organization. When our Pamela came on about 9 years ago, she's part-time consultant, and then we had to transfer over to an employee, but it was still part-time and it was with no benefits. So what we have done is we have created this as 2 weeks of vacation, and then also a full-time position, and we created a salary range. So it's more of a real job that someone can see, what all is entailed, because it is more than a part-time job with what our executive director puts out at the present time. But we anticipate having an executive director in the 1st of February, and that will create a 1-month overlap with our present executive director.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's a great idea. Okay, anything else for us today then? All right, well, when's our next meeting, Keene?
It will be February, first Monday of February. Tammy knows whatever the first Monday of February would be. 7th.
Okay. All right. With that said, well, has been stated a couple of times, 2021 has been a pretty rough year all the way around, not just for public agencies, but individuals. It's sad the position we see ourselves in right now with, and I think that's going to kind of change maybe in the negative direction in the future. But anyway, thank you all for serving. I know you all have full-time jobs and you have a lot of work to do, but setting time to come to these meetings and dedicate your service is great. And I want, once again, a little booster for Keene's Cliff Notes. I know they really helped me in terms of what was today's package, almost 300 pages or so. And to be able to have the Cliff Notes certainly helps me a lot in terms of preparing for the meeting. And if there's anything, our staff is very receptive. So if there's anything that anybody has in terms of additional changes they want to see make or additional information they need, just contact Keene. He's right on it, and you get a response back very quickly. So appreciate that. My compliments and sincere thanks to the staff for all their hard work. And for you, Ruth, as well. God bless you on your way. And so, and staff, you continue to blow me away with the quality of staff work that you provide for us. So with that said, everyone be safe. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see you in February. God bless you all.
Happy holidays to all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You want to be friends? Yes. Thank you, sir.